You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Charge Hayner present Zoom the TBT, and a real pleasure. Team we've tried to get on in a long time. This is West Virginia. We have their head coach, Chase Harler. Chase, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Appreciate it. Sorry, the first time we tried to get this happening might have been my mistake. Busy guy, but I'm happy we could finally figure this out and get on the show.
You act like we care if you were late once. Nobody cares. It isn't that serious. We have dozens of listeners, Chase, dozens. So don't worry about it. You're not spending that many people. Okay, so let's get into this. First of all, this is your first year coaching this team. You played in the past. James Long got a promotion. I believe he's now a D2 head coach, which is really incredible. So he's moving up the coaching ranks. Another TBT success story. Somebody taking TBT experience to leverage it into a bigger job as its career develops. Another guy using this as a launching pad. So first of all, as a coach of West Virginia this year, why did you take the gig?
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan was for James Long to be our coach. I've been his fourth year in a row, I believe, third or fourth year. He accepted the job at the University of Charleston, West Virginia D2 school, in a great conference, MEC, that has West Lib, Fairmont State, other great schools. He accepted the position in, I want to say, late May, maybe. And, I reached out to him, obviously congratulated him. And, one of the questions I asked him, because he already committed to, coaching TBT, was, yeah, I'm still going to do it. And he had a conversation with his administrative people, and they were all on board. And I think as time, yeah, they were all good. It was fine. And I think that as time went on and the more he got into it with his program, I mean, the TBT is a great thing, but it's not his career. This is his career. So I had, obviously respected his decision, but came to me and said he could be an assistant coach and just help out in Pittsburgh. And that's what our plan was. He would just show up in Pittsburgh, help with, his experience in the game would be huge for us. But, something came up where he's not even going to be able to do that. So once we had that conversation, it literally was probably 2 hours later, I reached back out to everyone and said, I'll be the head coach. And we have a great support staff. And, I don't have a ton of coaching experience. I coached AAU for the first time this past AAU season. So I have 16U AAU experience. However, I've been around basketball enough to, understand it. And like I said, we have a good support staff that's going to step in and help out.
AAU is definitely good enough experience coaching TBT. I mean, it's the same. There's the round ball, it's a 10-foot rim, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You'll be fine. Now, is coaching at the collegiate level something you potentially aspire to?
I wouldn't say that. That's why when I accepted the position, I really don't feel any pressure in sense of it's not like I'm doing this to jumpstart a career. Who knows? It might open some doors and it might spark my interest if it's the right situation. But like I said before, it's not like my number one goal is I have to do so well in the TBT to move forward in my coaching career. That this is, I'm going to put all I can into this, and whatever happens, happens. I'm happy living in Morgantown with my job now and doing things on the side. So I don't feel any pressure, but obviously I want to perform at a high level because we do have a really, really competitive team. And, we have a decent amount of sponsors that support us, and that we want to add value to them as well.
So I have a James Long story, actually. It just reminded me talking to you. I met him and made a complete ass of myself immediately, actually, when I met him. I was there. You might have been there, Charleston, and I was on the elevator. And the D2 coach, Grant Leonard at the time, is a friend of the program, great guy. And he's now the head coach of a D1 school in North Carolina. And everybody at this event's great, but they were like, yeah, what do you think about the game? I didn't know it was James Long. I said, well, I think they're both good squads. I think D2 might have a slight coaching advantage. I said that to the coach of West Virginia. I didn't know who he was because I hadn't met him yet. And he goes, I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll see. I go, oh, what do you do? He goes, I'm the head coach of West Virginia. I felt about this big. And people have met me before, know me making an ass of myself is a daily, if not hourly occurrence. It's not a big deal. James was extremely good natured about it. And you guys won a close and competitive game against a really quality squad. So it's actually everybody won except for my ego, which gets beat up a lot. So I'm not really too worried about that. So great for James Long. He's a great coach. It's really wonderful to see him moving up. So it's really awesome. This is the first time in a long time West Virginia isn't in West Virginia. Now, granted, Pittsburgh is a border town. It basically is a part of West Virginia socially and functionally. But is that a slight sea change for your fan base? Is it something that, I mean, there's a lot of Mountaineer fans in Pittsburgh, correct?
Yeah, I mean, like you just mentioned, Pittsburgh's only about an hour and 15, 20 minutes from Morgantown, the central hub of Mountaineer fans. I think it's going to cause a big, issue? Not really. I mean, I think our fans are going to travel, to be honest, and I think um, I hope, I hope that our fans travel well enough that the uppers at the TBT realize that, oh, we kind of maybe made a mistake moving it out of West Virginia, because we probably could have pulled more WVU fans, and there's a ton here already. So, like I said, if I had to pick anywhere else for us to be, it'd be Pittsburgh. I think I mean, I go to Pittsburgh very often, and I think it's a great town. There's a lot to do, and I mean, besides just the basketball aspect, like I said, you can go out and get some good food afterwards and hang out. So, I'm excited for it to be in Pittsburgh. If it's not in West Virginia somewhere, I mean, Pittsburgh, second best, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because like they've gotten great crowds. I've been to you guys when you had it in Charleston. Wheeling last year was a slightly smaller crowd, but it neither heard that the Marshall Alums or the Mountaineers are super close to Wheeling, so that was a bit of a push. But I know
Yeah.
Charleston, you guys packed the house. The combined Herd and West Virginia fans made that place a great volume. So I'm kind of surprised they moved away from it. But I can't imagine we're not going to get a West Virginia regional back on the rotation very, very soon, I would assume.
Yeah.
So talking a little bit about that, by the way, do you guys expect a good fan response from the loving fans of the Pittsburgh fans? Do you expect a lot of hearts and showers of flowers while you're there?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. That's the beautiful thing about sports, in my opinion, is like, you know, I'm trying to even think if my freshman year, 'cause I was at WVU 2016 to 2020. I think my freshman
Oh,
year,
you're young.
yeah, I'm 27. I think we
Oh my
played
God, I have
Pitt
shirts older
all
than you.
four
Go ahead.
years. Maybe we started playing Pitt my sophomore year, sophomore, junior, and senior. Um, but most of these guys played in some of the. Let me take that back. Some of these guys played in that backyard brawl, so that's always kind of the cool part about. We don't have any West Virginia natives on the roster. However, we have 8 WVU alumni. So when they get back in that blue and gold, if we advance and Pitt advances, hypothetically, I mean, that's going to bring back some good memories on both sides, and I know the fans will get really, really into it.
That's one thing I always find interesting about TBT also is like as the powers and money that be seem hell bent on ruining college sports as fast as possible for TV rights deals. The idea, because I mean, West Virginia is a wonderful program. They deserve to be a major program. So them getting to a major conference in the Big 12 by any means necessary, leaving the fracturing Big East. I understand that. It was the best both they could get. But losing that Big East flavor of Pitt
Yeah.
versus West Virginia is one of the great tragedies of realignment. I mean, I'm a Memphis fan. Losing those Louisville, Cincy versus Memphis games, I still am very upset about. I mean, it's really the hatred is so pure and beautiful, and to lose something you hate that much to love it is just one of the great tragedies of sports, I think, as it's coming. So TBT really lets you have those sort of old hatreds back, where you can kind of be like, "Oh, we love you, we love to hate you," and that's a great thing
And UConn's in
to
that.
have.
Yeah, and UConn's in the region as well, so they were part of that Big East time too. So, like I said, it could be a lot of fun with some of those Big East rivalries back in the day.
Absolutely, and also it's funny because like we usually release these about a week after taping because of like production and stuff. But like as we're taping this, Kemba Walker just retired.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah,
there's a non-0% chance by the time we're talking to the time someone listens, maybe the Stars of Stores throw him a bag of money and say you got 6 games to play still. Come on, let's get out of here. So that would be
I hope
crazy
it
if
doesn't
Kemba
happen.
Walker were to get. Yeah,
Yeah, I hope
I
it
would
doesn't.
imagine cardiac Kemba would make some serious money in TVT. That would be disturbing.
Yeah, I don't want that to
But
happen.
yeah, it'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, I would imagine that's not in your best interest. So talk about a little bit of how this team came together. Now, there's a lot of talent in this team. One thing I do want to touch on is there's a bit of a transition. Like often the anchor of this team has been Kevin Jones, a walking double-double, a beast, a wonderful player. He's transitioning to an assistant coaching role, and Jay Flo's, still playing, but he's becoming probably more and more of a supplementary player. So is there a bit of a passing of the torch this year? Like who needs to step up on this team to keep West Virginia at their best?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin told us very early on that he didn't want to play. However, he wanted to be a part of it, and I think him being an assistant coach is going to be huge for us. Obviously, that means we need to find some bigs, and that's exactly what we did with our WVU alumni. We went out and got Devin Williams, went out and got Sagaba Konate, and went out and got John Holton. All three really, really good careers at WVU. All bring something a little bit different to the table, but at the same time complement each other really well. So I mean, our inside presence has to be dominant on the, getting to the playing inside the paint and getting rebounds. And all three of those guys, that's what they're known for. Like I said, a little bit, each of them do something a little bit different. But our inside presence has to be huge because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the TBT basketballs. They're not the softest basketballs ever. So outside shooting at times is down a little bit for almost everybody. Obviously teams get hot, players get hot, but I think getting the ball inside and playing inside the 3-point line is a very underrated factor in the TBT, and I think we have the bigs to do that.
Well, I have touched the balls, but I didn't know they were that hard. Yeah, like that little hand, which I have touched the balls, but no, I've shot them, and I don't shoot them well. But let's be very clear, I'm not a D1 player, so the idea of me not shooting well is not exactly surprising.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear about the bigs. I do want to talk a little bit about the backcourt because you guys have made some moves, and West Virginia has almost always been almost virtually always alumnized. I say always about 15 times there. They've almost been alumnized. You have a couple of what we call grad transfers in the TBT community. You've got a guy named Xavier Bludson, who's a very good player from Indiana State, and you have possibly the impact free agent transfer in TBT in formerly sideline cancers Marcus Keene, who's won numerous events or games this event by himself. Like, what kind of a dynamic specifically does Keene add to your team?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In years past, it seems like we've always lacked just kind of that go-to, go get a bucket guy. Obviously, last year with Eric Stevenson, he kind of took that role in the first game. We didn't play great against Heard that in the second game. No one did. But, someone like Keene that consistently shows that he can make plays, and he's shown it in the TBT every single year. Him and Tariq Phillip are good friends. And, when we were in the process of finding players, Tariq reached out to me and said Keene has a little bit of interest of playing. I reached out to him, explained kind of our vision and kind of how we want to play, and he fits perfectly with that, and sent him the roster and the potential of rosters, and he was all in, honestly, right away. Took him a week. I take that back. Probably took him a week to give me a maybe, and then it went from a maybe to 100% in. So someone like him that we plan to put him in space. We plan to get him in positions where he can take advantage of if switches, if they switch on the ball screen, or just put him in the best position to score. But I think he also fits that mentality of if you go from top to bottom of our roster, we got some junkyard dogs, man. We got some tough guys that aren't going to take shit from anybody, and he fits that mold perfectly for us.
Yeah, he plays a lot. He's 5'9", and 5'9" is generous. I think it's closer to 5'7", but he plays like he's 6'3". If he was 6'3", he'd be in the league. He's that good. He's just not quite big enough. But when he plays so much bigger than his size.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's definitely a great addition. You talk about your vision for the team, actually. Let's get into that. So what is your vision for the team? How is West Virginia going to play? Like, what can people turning into Fox Sports expect to see a Chase Harler coach West Virginia do on the court?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get back to if you watch any of our old WVU teams from the last, I guess 2012 to, Huggins last year. The number one thing people always left the Coliseum saying, or wherever we played at, was that was one of the toughest games we've ever played, as physical as possible. So, I mean, first and foremost, we're just going to be tough. We're not going to take shit from anybody. We're going to get after you on the defensive end. The name of the game at this point is possession. So all these guys play high level overseas in Europe. I didn't play at that high of a level, but I understand the European concept pretty well. A lot of ball screens, a lot of getting people into space, causing mismatches. So I think offensively we're going to play fast. Like I just mentioned before, the name of the game is possession. So early shots in the shot clock, that makes sense for us, but however, have the patience to be able to run a full set. But a lot of ball screens, a lot of decoy actions, a lot of true actions. Defense, if we don't play defense, we don't have a chance. But from top to bottom, we have guys that take pride on the defensive end. So I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's always interesting talking to the TBT community about how this always works, because the reality is, like, because this is such a throw together event, you have all these professionals who have the shared experience of going to a college or being together, or being friends, or balling in the summer, but still it's hard to get an entire identity ready for a bit, what essentially is like a 6-game tournament. Yeah. So offense is always, especially in the first couple of rounds, a little behind the defense. So having a team that's identity is more on the defensive end really bodes well to grinding out some tough early jitters.
Oh
So I
yeah,
think that's good to hear. I really believe having a team that it prides itself on that side of the ball will always, at least early, even no matter how offensively talented the other team is, they're going to get stops when they need them, because stops are the name of the game in TBT. You can't win without stops.
yeah, for sure. I think that's a great point.
So
I think that's a great point, and all the our WV alums all played for Huggins, and we're gonna use some of those same defensive principles, um, same defense of rules you could say for our team in the TBT to make life easy. Because trust me, if you played for Huggins, and most of these guys played for him for 3 or 4 years, you never forget those tendencies and those rules. So I wouldn't say that Press Virginia might not be in the cards at times, maybe depending on how the game's going, but the half court defense, the pressure, and the ability to help after if guys get beat. I mean, those things are that's like riding a bike for WVU guys. I mean, I could go out there and still have the same energy and have the same mindset that if this guy gets beat, I know I have to be here. I mean, it's like second nature to these guys.
yeah, I'm always amazed, because Huggins was such a wonderful Hall of Fame coach, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done, easily, like first ballot. And as a Memphis fan, I remember when he coached at Cincinnati, his teams tortured Memphis, and I mean tortured them every year, because they were so physical. And he took all these guys who had limited upside, and he turned them into pros. He turned guys into pros through working them to death. Him and John Chaney are the two guys that come to mind of working people to pros, like just killing them into being professionals. The thing I remember reading about, I read a coaching theory with him too, is like when you play man-to-man defense, like he's big, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is he's big on ball denial. And there's a whole drill, I think it was him, where you always have kind of mentally one finger pointing at the ball and one at your man, and you're between the two fingers all the time. Do I have this correct? Is
Yeah,
that him?
we would be like up the line, in the line, so direct passes were a no go. We'll apply
Yeah.
some of that to our defensive scheme. Like I said, we got guys that, first of all, you got to have guys that want to play defense. I mean, everyone on our team wants to play defense. So we're gonna have some different looks at things. I mean, there'll be times that the pressure, there'll be times that we're almost in a pack line, throwing a zone here or there, who knows. But yeah, I like our team defensively. I mean, on the wing, I know we talked about the guards and we talked about the bigs, but we got guys on the wing: Wesley Harris, Issa Ahmad, and obviously Xavier. I mean, those guys are all 6'8" plus with good wingspans that have the ability to handle the basketball on the offensive end. But I mean, especially on defense, I mean, depending on the team we're playing, if it's a smaller guard and he's their number one option on their offensive side, throw Wesley Harris on him. That's a 6'8" wing that can move his feet and takes pride on defense. I mean, that's a tough matchup for that guy. I mean, every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, every time I've ever watched a Huggins coach team, or a West Virginia or a K-State or Cincinnati, just the level of physicality on defense has always been something I've always, as a Memphis fan, always admired, because it's something that's you can't that has to be instilled in the players. It has to be both the coach demands it and the players want it. You have to recruit the right guys, because the guys actually want that. They need to want that. They need to want that level of physicality in their lives to do it. Last year was tough. You guys won the first round, but it took everything. The Du Bois Dream weren't supposed to give you a game, and they almost won the thing. So
Yeah.
first of all, how crazy was that last year, from playing that game to this team of semi-pro guys sweating you guys? How nuts was that? And also, what is it going to take to prevent that from happening again this year?
Yeah, I mean, last year, that was a crazy game. Eric Stevenson with the game winner. I think that offensively we struggled, and I mean, obviously defensively we struggled. That's not a good recipe for a good.
There's two sides of the ball. If we struggle on both, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. So I think it's a TBT is it's a cool tournament, because realistically, like, especially that first game, when you do your scouting, you can scout the players that they play overseas or whatnot. Like, you can scout them individually, but at the end of the day, you don't know what they're going to run. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the fun part about it. And vice versa. Like, you can scout our team, but you don't know what we're going to run or how we're going to play. So I think going into the first game, like we've talked about I feel like for the last 10 minutes, like, the offensive game will come eventually, and hopefully it comes sooner than later. But if you're getting stops, but you're still not shooting great, like, you got a chance to continue to win, right? Like, you're not doing either of them, you don't got a shot. Luckily, we got lucky at the end, but I think especially that first half of the first game, like, we got to lock in on the defensive end, because most likely we're going to get steals, we're going to get deflections, we're going to get out in transition, we'll get some layups, kind of take the lid off the basket, get the nerves out of everybody, and let the game come to us. Where we just have to lock in on the defensive end, at least, especially that first half, or it could go either way, like we almost saw that first game last year.
Yeah, it's funny because you just mentioned something I've never thought of before, and we talk about the whole idea of scouting. We talk a lot about how it's difficult to scout TBT, but I never actually thought of it this way, because the alumni teams have a built-in advantage of shared experience under shared coaching staffs and shared philosophies. Always, the alumni teams come into camps with a better idea of how they're going to play due to the shared experience. But also, your opponents they can't scout you as adults, at least they have an idea of some principles you're going to run. Talking about your opponents, you have no idea what they're going to run. You don't know what the Brotherly Love Pro-Am team is going to do. There's almost no, you don't know.
Yeah.
Their coaching staff, you're not quite sure what they're going to bring out there. You don't really know what Stan Laws is going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that team. So that's a slight, yeah.
You literally have no clue. And I think that's where, you kind of put in, or we will put in, defensive, I guess, rules or tendencies where regardless of what they run, we know what we're going to have to do. You know what I mean? We know where the help side's coming from. We know where we're not going to help from. So, we'll probably have 5, let me think, we have an exhibition game. So we'll have 5 practices before the TBT, maybe 6 with an exhibition game. So we'll have time to get some stuff in, but like I just mentioned, that's the pro and the con. The reason why I love our roster so much is we have guys that are going to make plays. That's what the TBT is. It's just it's better competition, a little bit more controlled AAU. I remember playing AAU. We never practiced. We had 2 sets, and it was kind of just like a community offense, and players make plays. So that's kind of the mindset we're going into with our TBT. I'm not going to sit here and try to make this super complex. We'll have continuity offenses. We'll have some quick hitters. We'll have some out of bounds plays. But at the end of the day, the players are going to make plays.
Actually, the thing I love about basketball, because it's one of those things that's beautiful, because the shot clock makes the whole thing very clear. For the first 18 seconds, it's a beautiful shared experience where 5 guys try to become one person and try to move the ball to make everybody a weapon and share the ball in an egalitarian and fair and almost utopian way. And that last 7 seconds, somebody's give me the fucking ball, get the fuck out of my way, we need a bucket. And it's this duality of total teamwork where just move. And it's this crazy duality where the two edges of basketball butt up every possession. Let's be a team. Oh crap, it's 7 seconds, move. I just love the insanity of how that works. Speaking of your opponents, though, there's some interesting players you're playing against. You got Dante Green. He spent last year playing in that Kmart BS Big 3 nonsense, but he's a very good player. And they've got Novar Gadsden. They've got Sammy Givens. That's 3 pretty high quality shooting wings. Is that kind of where you're thinking with your scouting? Is that the kind of guys you have to shut down, or is there some other players you're also worried about?
Yeah, those are definitely their top 3 guys, and they also have other professionals on the team. So, those 3 guys, I'm assuming will probably be the 3 top guys on their team. They'll definitely be our emphasis on defense. But to be honest, probably next week before our first practice, our coaching staff will get together. We have a unique coaching staff where Tyler Chang joined our coaching staff. He was on WVU coaching staff for the last, I want to say 7 or 8 years, where he was more of the film behind the scenes analytical guy. And, I felt like we needed that, where, Kevin Jones, myself are former players. We have Alex Peevler from, he's at St. Louis now. He's a player development guy, but obviously he's been around the actual coaching world. So he'll bring that. But, Tyler Chang was the analytical film guy. So he'll put together a little scouting video for us. We'll sit down and watch that. And I think the biggest thing with all this TBT is when you do the scouting, you're not so much trying to, the personnel is important, but on the flip side is how can we attack that? We don't want to just focus so much on what they do. Hey, I have an understanding. Obviously know that this guy likes to go right, in every video we watch, he never goes left. Okay, that's important. But at the same time, we'll watch some film. Oh, this guy can't move his feet. All right, let's put him in the ball screen every single time. That's kind of the TBT is more about your team than the other team, but obviously you have to have some understanding of who you're playing against, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, in basketball, it's always, if you're the aggressor and you set the terms, you want to play your game and force your opponent to play your game. And when you're a physical defensive team who thrives in transition but also likes to bang bodies, it's a very easy way to insert your will, because the entire idea of your team is to exert will. So that's a pretty good starting point.
100%.
TBT is getting more and more expensive every year for the teams, and there's just no way around that. I like to give people this year a chance to shout out some of the sponsors of people have helped. I assume the people of West Virginia have been very graciously helpful to your team. Any examples you want to bring up of people who have been helpful?
Absolutely. So we do a great job of fundraising. We start probably a team of 3 that really get the train going. Myself, Greg Richardson, he's our assistant general manager, and Dave Ryan, who is our content creation. He's in charge of all the creative. But we start back in, I want to say end of February, where we start reaching out to people and coming together with our sponsorship packages. We have 5 main corporate sponsors that really stepped up this year. Trilogy Innovations, they were one of our sponsors last year. They have the bracket tag. Hope Gas came in, new sponsor, did a great job of wanting to help out, and came up with some great ideas that benefited both sides. Little General was a new sponsor this year. GoMart, they were a sponsor last year as well. So this is their second go around with us. And then Jenkins Ford, which is a car dealership. They have multiple throughout the state, but the one that we're kind of recognizing the most is the one in Buchanan, West Virginia, where also our exhibition game is. And at the same time, I know those are our big sponsors, but we have probably 10 to 12 smaller sponsors that are getting some stuff from us as well that helped and stepped up. And one thing that we do with Best Virginia that I'm not sure if other teams do this, but I take pride in, since I've been a part of it, trying to get out in the community as much as possible. We've talked about WVU and the fans, and we're the professional team. I mean, the Mountaineers are, but having these alumni come back in Morgantown, you don't understand how much that means to the fans. So we like to try to get out in the community as much as possible. That's why we're doing an exhibition game, free admission. We're doing a golf scramble to get, obviously these are fundraisers. However, it's beneficial to the community. Come out, hang out with the guys and have a good time. We'll do the golf scramble, and we'll also have a youth camp on Sunday. So it's back to back to back. The exhibition game's actually in Buchanan, West Virginia on a Friday. The golf scramble was Saturday in Morgantown, and then the basketball camp Sunday in Morgantown. So we'll have an event weekends, which, it's important that, the goal is to win $1 million. Absolutely. That's what everyone's goal is. But it's also to, when these guys are back in Morgantown, because not all these guys are from West Virginia, they're from all over the country. When they're back in Morgantown, we try to get them out in the community as much as possible.
Definitely. Okay, so I like to have that conversation. I like to make sure people understand that there's people behind the people, and it's nice to give them a shout out, because these events don't happen without people funding them. So that's always a good thing. Okay, last question. I'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate you coming on, Coach Harler. But real quick, people know TBT, and frankly, if you listen to our show, you're the converted. I mean, again, dozens of listeners. It'd be shocking if anybody who's listening to this has not heard of TBT. But let's just humor the concept. Maybe this is their first experience hearing about this. Why are people needing to get out to Pittsburgh to watch your team? Give them the elevator pitch. Why is Best Virginia in Pittsburgh a mandatory viewing experience this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the TBT is a unbelievable summer sporting event. There's not much going on in the summer, so that's first and foremost. We're competing for $1 million. That doesn't really happen too often. The Elam ending adds so much suspense, so much energy to the end of the game. So that's my little spiel about the TBT. But as far as Best Virginia, true Mountaineer fans recognize all the names on our team. They understand that. Not like I mentioned before, we don't have any West Virginia natives on our team. However, when they do put that Mountaineer jersey, Best Virginia jersey, they're representing more than themselves. And I can promise you we'll play like that. Hugs always said we represent 1.3 million, and we kind of want to take that same approach even with the Best Virginia and the TBT team. We're going to play fast. We're going to play aggressive. And like I said a couple of times, we aren't going to take shit from anybody.
I love the not going to take shit from anybody. I love the fact that you're embracing the fact no one cares about the ratings for this show. I fuck them. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, Coach Harler, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.